Revolutionary greetings, comrades. The outcome of the Zimbabwe election is being disputed. We did say that indeed the outcome of the 2013 election was going to be disputed. We had said in 2017 in August that the outcome of the 2018 was going to be disputed, and indeed it was disputed. And this outcome in 2023, it is disputed. Earlier today, the Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, addressed a press conference in Harare and resolved that, or announced that they are calling for a fresh election in Zimbabwe. They are not calling for a rerun of the election, according to their spokesperson. They are calling for a fresh election. Their view is that you can only resolve the ongoing dispute through an election which is held under the SADC guidelines on holding free and fair elections. We discussed the preliminary report of the SADC Observer Mission, which spoke a lot of things about the build up to the elections. It made a number of observations, and it concluded by saying, I quote, in conclusion, the mission observed that the pre-election and the voting phases on 23rd and 24th August 2023 harmonized elections were peaceful and calm. However, for reasons outlined above, the mission noted that some aspects of the harmonized elections fell short of the requirements of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, the Electoral Act, and the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections in Zimbabwe, close quote. These guidelines were adopted in 2021. So the CCC then says, for us to resolve the current dispute in Zimbabwe, a fresh election must be conducted. The spokesperson, Comrade Zizibo, was asked if he will not take up his seat in parliament. He said he was not speaking on his behalf. But what was clear from the press conference is that we expect that members of parliament from the CCC, councillors across the country, will not be sworn in to try and force Zimbabwe to hold fresh elections. So holding fresh elections will require the redrawing of constituencies, because the dispute starts with the delimitation report. So it means that there must be a fresh delimitation process that is done. There must be fresh voter registration, and of course the nomination of candidates. So it is not a rerun, but a fresh election. That is what CCC is resolved and announced. We will, of course, analyze this. What does this mean? We're not in this video, but we'll analyze what does this mean. You will know that in its last summit on Zimbabwe, SADC resolved to assist Zimbabwe to carry out a campaign to lift sanctions, because SADC was of the view, Heads of State Summit was of the view, that the economic crisis in Zimbabwe are as a result of the imposition of sanctions, and selected 25 October every year to be a day that campaigns are carried out in support of the lifting of sanctions in Zimbabwe. We must also note that the Observer Mission report has not been processed by the Secretariat of SADC and the heads of states. We do not know what will be the final report that will be processed by the SADC Secretariat and presented to the heads of states. Whether there's going to be a summit to receive this report in light of the developments that are happening in Zimbabwe. we are also aware that eminent leaders from the SADC region, as led by former President of Tanzania, are in Zimbabwe for discussions. We do not know what the agenda is, what this discussion is about, but we're keeping our ears on the ground. So we will give an analysis on this. We heard also the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, saying the African National Congress sent its observer mission and they are waiting for its report, which they will also process as the African National Congress. We have been seeing his tweets. All these we are going to analyze. What does it mean? And of course, what we are going to look into, of course, is the response of ZANU-PF. And of course, ourselves, like we are saying that we are going to do our own analysis. We know, or we imagine that ZANU-PF might call the CCC bluff and say, okay, if it's your democratic right to boycott. So we're entering very interesting times in terms of how will SADC deal with this question. So you might want to share your views. Please write in the comment section on what you think should happen. Share your views, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, Amandla Comrades.